Is he going to make the material?
I mean,
what if we then have?
We could have.
What if we then have Melchior leave?
We could have everybody there because this is the prototype stage. We're not. This actually should probably be happening in Almaret rather than in the far bitter north, right? They're figuring out how to do what Manwë has commanded them to do, or whatever. I mean, Manwë is kind of the final stamp of approval. Right?
So maybe at the same meeting they establish how they're going to make them the pillars tall enough,
right?
And then Melchior says, "Okay, now about the lamps themselves, because that's really what he's interested in. All of this,
they're not going to be bright enough with just heat, right? Because that was the issue. Like, they're not going to be like, this is all well and good, and this will help us with the ice problem, but they're not going to be bright enough to light all of the earth with fire." We need, and this is where he kind of turns to Varda and is like, "I'm going to need you on this one, right?" Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Oh,
right.
He's not going to like that, but yeah.
Well, Manwë's not going to like it. And he's like, "This has to."
I don't think Manwë would even notice enough to be jealous.
Oh no, he would. He definitely.
He's totally secure. No. Manwë is completely secure in.
So he's totally happy that they're working together like he wants them to. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a difference between being secure and not noticing.
And watching somebody hit.
Yeah, like there is a difference there, and
like even if you have no illusions that she is even remotely interested, it's still just.
Yeah, I mean, there are people who are clueless because. I know that my father never ever notices when women hit on him.
Either it never happens to me or I don't notice. I'm going to go with it never happens to me.
Well, he's obviously in his 60s at this point, so it's not happening frequently these days. But he used to travel for business a lot, and he didn't wear a wedding ring. So, well, it would get caught on things, and he didn't. He was working around. He didn't want to. Yeah, whatever.
And the logistics.
Anyway, he traveled for business and didn't wear a wedding ring. So women would come up to him and start chatting with him and ask him questions about what he did for a living and all this stuff. And he was like, "Oh, they're friendly," and he would just talk to them. Yeah. He's like, "Hi," and walk away.
Oh, I met this really nice lady today.
Pretty much. And
she was touching my knees a lot, though. I couldn't. It was very weird.
I don't know if it was ever that bad.
Touching my knees.
But yeah, obviously my mom had to be kind of cool with it when he would come home and be like, "Yeah, so I met this person," and my mom was like, "Okay, so for the record, she was hitting on you.
Let me explain what just happened, and can you please be aware of this?"
Pretty much. I mean, this happened multiple times.
So
anyway.
I'm sure. Remember that thing I told you about? Where
anyway,
there are people who are clueless, and there are people who are very secure. It's not an overlapping trait, though.
I don't want Manwë to be clueless. I don't want Manwë to be clueless. He doesn't have to be like super uncomfortable with it, but like he should kind of be like, okay. This is what I wanted, right?
Yeah, I wanted people working together. Yeah. All right. So we're setting up and maybe he introduces the idea that we all need to put a little bit of our light, our energy into these lamps.
Yeah,
we were going to do that.
And maybe I'm pretty sure they would. Yeah.
Okay.
And a prototype. Maybe he's got like a little prototype that he's made, and he demonstrates. So like this, and it comes on. And it kind of just glows there, and so
I don't know if I want to like. I don't know if I want to have like prototypes of the lamp. Like making a prototype easily seems.
We don't need to see how he did it.
I
want them. I feel like that's too like. He wouldn't. I don't know. I feel like he wouldn't necessarily need to. Like, I think they all kind of implicitly understand. Once.
But the viewers may not. Is what I'm concerned about.
See, but
the viewers need to understand what he's asking them to do.
I don't want to show the viewer what the lamp is until I mean, I guess we're going to see some of it in the construction, but like I would rather have the viewer kind of like see the lamps for the first time, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like,
well,
realizing the lamps in sort of like a real working prototype sort of way seems to kind of take away from.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
I think that's has some issues. It does help with the show don't tell thing.
I don't think Manway is ultimately too concerned with the end result. For Manway, the real deal is everybody pitching in. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like he's mostly
which is why we really do need to show people putting their light into the lamps.
Right.
Like that needs to be on screen.
I mean, gathering the light that has kind of been.
We can talk about it up front. I mean, we can have Melchior explain what he's going to do before it happens on screen, and try to recruit Varda for this project, and that's
the whole thing. That like heat alone will not light the world.
Right.
We have and Manuel, he doesn't love it because he's like, oh, all right, whatever, douchebag. But yeah, he's kind of like, this is what we were meant. I would like Varda to kind of be like, I don't know, man, this is a little uncomfortable for me. And Manway's like, I would even like Manway to kind of be like, look, I know that you have some
history
going on about him.
Karina said, but I see an argument both ways. I don't think it should be a scale model. I agree. But I think that Melchior could show how to put your light into something without a tiny tabletop tower. Also, tiny tabletop tower are going on the merch line yet. I was actually thinking of more of the lamp, the crystalline lamp thing itself, not like the whole pillar included thing.
Mean glowing ball that you put light into and you hold it in your hand and it glows?
Yes, that's totally what I'm thinking of. Like he picks up this ball, holds it in his hand for a second, and it makes it glow, and puts it down on the table and leaves it there to say that's what I want to do.
So you're saying Melchior is showing this off?
Yes. To show them, it's not a model of the lamp. It's just something for him to show them. This is what I want to do.
We've got steel, right? We have steel. We just made steel.
Yes.
Melchior proposes, okay, this is all well and good, and everything is great. But there's a problem. I cannot light the whole of Arda with just heat, right? And he grabs the steel that they've made and he superheats it so that it's glowing hot, right? And he's like, and then he puts that on the table, and not in sort of a foreshadowy sort of way, it kind of burns a bunch of crap on the table. And he puts it in the far north, and it's very dramatic. I'm sure the table's magic, right? It's not just a table of a map, right?
Yeah,
right.
So there's water and stuff on it. Like the water goes up in great steam, and the land is kind of scorched. And he's like, "This is the best that I can do," right?
I like that,
right? And so he appeals to Arda at this point, and maybe he appeals. Well, no, I feel like he would appeal to Arda Varda directly. He wouldn't go to Manway because that would be too subservient.
Yes.
He says like, I need more. And that should be like, that's the line. I need more. Right?
Yeah.
I agree.
The other reason I was not comfortable with the working prototype, is that Melchior's actually not very good at making things.
Yeah.
From scratch. That's not his deal at all. He takes something someone else has made and kind of twists it to his own thing, but he's not a creative type. Like, he's not an original creative type.
He's not an engineer. Is I think the thing, because he relates to creators. He relates to creators very heavily.
He's more of an engineer than an artist.
He
has no artistry at all.
He has the creative impulse, right? Because that's why he wants the flame imperishable.
Right. He wants to fill the void.
He never really does actually create anything.
Right.
In that's his entire history. So
right. So we can't have him just like creating things on the spot and being like, see, just like this. I made a Silmarilled before Feanor did. Like, no, he can't.
Okay, that's a good point.
He puts it on the map, not thinking anything of it, but I would, Olmo in particular, I think should kind of be like, what the hell was that? Right?
Yes. Like, and that's why
does nobody else just see the thing that just happened? And everybody's like, talking, let it talk, right?
Yeah. And I agree that doing something destructive is totally Melkor. So I'd much prefer
he's completely unaware. It doesn't even register. He's not doing it maliciously. He just
total disregard.
Point out the problem and is being very cavalier with sort of everything. And most people don't notice, but Olmo definitely notices.
One more reason for Olmo to say, I told you so. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Olmo is going to be the I told you so guy.
At this point should be like the dourest of like frowny faces, right?
All right.
So then he appeals to Arda and he's like, I need more.
Arda.
I need more.
Yeah.
Well, not too creepy, but he doesn't need to be.
Melkor, we can go creepy. It's okay.
Okay.
I feel like this is a good breaking point for us to go to Gil Ryan and be like, what in the hell is this? Why are we talking about this?
Yeah.
Or do we want to keep, because I don't know how to get out of that scene actually is part of the problem.
Because that's the planning stage, and the next thing we should actually see building happening. So there should be a gap.
Okay, so we can break there. We can go to see the interruption with Gil Ryan. Why are you teaching blah 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 blah? Yeah. And this is when the story is going to really shift into the story of Nessa and Ungoliant.
Barda sends people out to start gathering the light and blah blah blah.
Okay, so. Gathering the light. Oh, yeah, because we have the ambient light thing, and we're... Okay. Yeah. So we're gathering ambient light. So... okay. I think
what is... Well, let's go back to the frame for a second. We have the interruption. Gil Ryan's like, okay, so I don't understand what any of this is. What is Elrond... Does Elrond try to teach her a sort of short form of the lesson, or does he just kind of say, wait and see, and she has to deal with it?
I feel like the latter is going to because we can't retell everything. Like we can't just go back and retell it. The audience is not going to deal with that.
The reason
he could say, I was just getting to that, and then go back into it.
Yeah.
Well, the reason for that is
so he could acknowledge her question, like, why are we talking about this? We're saying, we're getting to the point here.
Yeah. Okay. I like that.
It's still kind of brushing her off, but acknowledging her in some way without just being like, anyway, moving on.
But how long are we going to, like, here's the thing that I'm thinking. She interrupts him, and I can see it both ways, where I can see her demanding an answer, and I can see her deferring to his lordship, right?
Go back in a minute.
The part of the problem that I'm having is that we need to have them having a sort of an argument about what, first of all, whether or not she's going to tell Estelle who he is.
Right.
So the way I see it is there's a progression of what does this story have to do with anything, that then goes to, I don't like the way that you're doing this, that then goes to, I want to tell him who he is, right? Those are the sort of beats.
Right. And then ends with, and here, you keep the ring and tell him when you think he's ready.
Right. Well, which is the end of the next episode.
Right.
So for that to progress, I mean, I guess we don't spend that long in this scene then, if we're just going to have him kind of be like, I'm getting to that, right? But then we need to have a breaking point where she's like, look, this is just completely inappropriate. I don't understand where you're going with that. And first of all, I don't understand what this has to do with anything related to, this is not what I had in mind, basically, when I asked you.
I have a suggestion. I have a suggestion because I thought about this while I was gone for a second. What if, instead of going directly back into Imladris, we go back into the flashback?
how would we get to the flashback from?
Well, we close out the scene with "I need more." Okay,
and then
we close that scene.
Commercial.
whatever we need to do.
Uh-huh.
Because you can have black for a second, and that that is a clearly definitive cut. We're somewhere else now. And we go back to the whatchamacallit. We go back to the flashback, and we have like battle preparations happening, and we see the moment where Arathorn is saying goodbye to I mean, he doesn't know it's going to be for the last time, but he's saying goodbye to Gilrain and his son.
Mm-hmm.
And we're there for a few minutes. We see him ride off, and then we go back into Imladris. We cut back to Imladris on Gilrain's face, because to Gilrain, what she's thinking of is, how does this helping Estelle be a leader of men in the situation that we are actually in?
Right. So you're talking, the way this works for me, I really don't see how we can cut directly from Arda, primordial Arda, which is kind of a mouthful, directly to the flashback. But what I would be okay with is going back to Elrond kind of talking to Estelle, where we can kind of fade back into Elrond or give him a voiceover line that fades back into the frame, and then pan over to Gilrain, who is clearly nonplussed with this discussion, and she's bored to the point of not paying attention, right? Mm-hmm. Where she's kind of daydreaming about, and as he's been going on and on about the lamps, and I feel like the angle of the sun should maybe indicate that some time has passed, right? And so she starts daydreaming at this point, and finally, at the end of her little flashback, she comes to the decision that I'm going to stop this and voice my concerns, right?
Yeah.
She's been polite up to this point, and now she's kind of frustrated, and the thing that kind of tips her over is remembering watching her husband ride off into certain doom. And that should kind of be the vibe, is that like, this is not going to end well, and Arathorn should know that it's not going to end well, right? Like, he should be kind of like, this is a lot of dudes that we have to fight.
Well, they were ambushed, if memory serves.
Well, I mean,
he may not have known how bad it was going to be. I get
exactly.
From reading it, I get the distinct impression that he didn't know how bad it was going to be when he went out there.
He was bored and more preoccupied. Yeah, I mean, bored and preoccupied, right? Preoccupied because she doesn't see the point, and so she's kind of gotten into the daydream. If she's remembering the death of her spouse, that's what I'm getting at. Like, she doesn't see the connection between these two things, and she's like, "This is way more important."
Yeah,
I think that it's good if the first flashback we get with Arathorn, there's no real explanation of what we're seeing.
Yes.
So, like, the way you've presented this, it's her. Remember, she remembers everything. She knows what's going on, but we, the audience, are like, "Who's this guy?" And she's holding a baby and saying goodbye to him. It's very apparent that this is her missing absent husband.
Right.
So, like, we introduced we opened the episode with the flashback, actually. So this is the second time that we're coming. You weren't here for that. This is the second time.
Well, we did. I was here, but then we changed it.
No. We were opening with that, having cutting to Gilrain holding something.
We decided to do the hokey dream thing.
We decided not to do the dream. Yeah. We decided not to do a dream.
Right.
But to intersperse it over the course of the episode.
I thought this is the first.
I thought we were waking her up at the beginning. Didn't we decide?